Welcome to episode 256 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and Kelly Guimont's back on the show. How you doing, Kelly?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I'm so tired.
Yeah. I do like the old school iPod Nano on your shirt there.
Yeah.
But,
this is apparently how I'm affording my rock and roll lifestyle right now.
So.
And I will absolutely be paying for it later. But
Well, I really appreciate you being here.
I am very, very, very glad to be back. I'm always excited to be on the show.
I'm so glad you are here, as well as I'm glad that Ben Roethig's here. How you doing, Ben?
I'm glad that Ben Roethig is here too.
Yeah, it's nice and toasty in Iowa, like it is here. It actually cooled down here, so
yeah, it's all the way down to 82, which for a lot of people is actually still hot. Yeah. Thankfully, my MacBook has really good noise cancellation because the giant tower fan right next to me is on full blast.
Yeah. Speaking of full blast, Jeff Gamet is here. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm glad Ben Roethig is here as well, and the temperature here is very dangerous for Jedi. It is 66.
Ooh, oh no, that's not good.
Yes, execute temperature 66.
That's right.
So
yeah, we're working on the Kaminoan lifestyle as well because it started raining a little while ago.
So that's where our weather went.
Yeah.
I was about to say, have you seen The Bad Batch?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So not going hardcore.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Which I know that's where. Yeah.
No spoilers. Speaking of spoilers, we're going to spoil a little bit and talk about WWDC, at least our pre-discussion.
You're getting so good with
I know. Well, I've learned from you the best. So, but it was very light news week because a lot of the eggs are in one basket with WWDC coming. So, but we'll talk about some news.
I think what you mean is a lot of the eggs are in one
headset. Right? Exactly. And we got some other topics, and I have a topic that I know Jeff's going to have a bit of a rant on, so that's why I picked it this week. So it's going to.
I laugh, but it's karma because I intentionally do this to branch off and every single.
That's
week.
my turn.
Does it have something to do with the sky?
Yeah, every week I hear that. Anyway, let's go on. We'll hit the news here and. Let's just have a show here. The first story, watchOS. Apple released a updated version of watchOS 9.5.1. It had some bug fixes. This week, Apple released it. It's a minor bug update designed for the Apple Watch, and it's a free download. It comes right after the heels of 9.5, which just came out the week before here, so we record. And you can download it through the Watch app on your iPhone, and of course, like Apple's release notes always say on the Apple Watch, includes improvements and bug fixes, right? So I would highly recommend everybody go out and install it because if it is bugs, improvements, yes, you should improve yourself. So any thoughts on that?
Hopefully it improves the green screen problem.
Yeah, that was we reported that last week. There's that green screen problem here, so I haven't seen it, so I think I've been okay. But
yeah, same here.
But not much else to say about that other than the PSA. And next story here, we talked about this earlier this week, but Apple released Apple Music Classical for Android before it did iPad and Mac apps. I don't understand why they would do that, but okay. After them buying Prime Phonic in 2021, they premiered the Apple Music Classic on the iPhone at the end of March, as earlier this year. Well, I guess they decided they wanted to put it out onto the Android. Well, all the Android people can be must be a lot of classical music listeners on Android that they thought maybe we should put this on here instead. Perhaps why they might have done that, I'm not sure. But Jeff, what do you think on this?
I think it's stupid, But at the same time, it's also good. Okay, it's all right. It's stupid because
Do your work.
yeah. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, not what you meant. All right. So if Apple could roll this out for iPhone, and it's the same code base that you can use on iPad OS and Mac OS, why don't we have it on these other Apple platforms, especially considering Mac OS is where this would be super useful because you can use a DAC and have higher audio quality. External DAC. Rolling it out on Android. Okay, sure. The development team that's working on the Android version is not going to be the same team that's working on the iOS version because don't cross the streams. It's not the same code base, whatever. So maybe the Android version is just done now, but it still doesn't excuse not rolling out iPad and Mac OS for Apple Classical. They rolled it out on what to me is the most hobbled version or the hobbled platform for listening to classical.
Yeah. What do you think, Kelly?
Same. My specific use case is that I do not yet, but I would like to use Apple Music Classical on my Mac because I listen to classical music while I work because I can't listen to music with vocals. Because, hi, I'm Kelly, and I will sing along, and I can't listen to words while I'm assembling my own or, trying to think through a problem or whatever. Like, I'm not wired in that fashion. So it doesn't work for me in any way. So I would very much like to be using Apple Music Classical on my Mac, which is hooked up to a lovely set of Harman Kardon sound sticks, which I know are not, they're not the big impressive speakers on the other side of the wall behind me, but they are more speaker than this has in it. And they are more speaker than my iPad and more speaker than my laptop. Yeah. And, I think lots of people are probably in that same position where I have a little bit nicer audio setup in a place where I'm a little more stationary, whether you have a laptop or you have you have a mini, you've got some good audio in on it, that kind of thing makes a difference. And so it's baffling to me that they wouldn't have started with like making it available via, on tvOS or on HomePods where people, where it's possible that's going to be the best audio that somebody has available to them. And why would you not, so I'm very confused by this. I'm glad they're checking a box, but like, I don't think the boxes are in the order that Apple thinks they're in.
Yeah. Thoughts, but
there's clearly a piece of critical information we're missing that would make all of this make sense.
Which, of course, no comment from Apple.
My shocked face. Let me show you it.
Yeah. First off, in Chuck's Slack, my exact reaction to this was, well, I didn't have that on my bingo card.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as those boxes for platforms you would want to have this on, Mac 1, Windows 2, iPad 3, iPhone and Android at the bottom of the list.
Like, I understand wanting to have it on mobile, but but the other thing that's baffling to me about this is that then to me, it feels clear if there's an iOS version and we live in the age of Catalyst, that Apple isn't even going to eat their own dog food on this. So either they're using the code base they bought wholesale and, it started with a Windows version or something, and there is no Mac version, and that was somehow the easier path.
Right.
Or, there's some bit of info that we simply, like Jeff said, that we simply do not have. But at the same time, like, come on, son.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is that Apple Music Classical does share a code base with the regular Apple Music. And there's going to be some kind of big overhaul for Mac and iPad at WWDC. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Ben is fueling my wood chipper hopes.
Otherwise, this makes zero sense.
I just came up with another hypothesis real quick. And this would play into what's the data that we don't have that would make this make sense. Apple knows how much what devices people listen to music on.
Mhm.
Maybe all their data says the most popular platforms for listening to classical music are iPhone first and then Android, which to me sounds absolutely crazy. But if that's the case, then it would totally make sense to roll this out for the two most popular listening device platforms that they want to support.
Yeah.
You know, I could see those as the most popular platforms for music in general, but classical listeners are different, which is why they have their own app.
I mean, that's the part I'm still confused by, is why it is its own an app unto itself.
Yeah,
But maybe
bizarre.
Because,
we'll see a
Step
wood
one.
chipper this year. This is bad.
Because in most cases, the original performers of this music have been dead for several hundred years. With classical, the arrangement, the conductor, the orchestra, all those are important.
Yes,
Since every performance is going to be a cover performance.
essentially, yes.
Right.
Yeah, you don't see that with popular music or rock.
Correct.
Oh my God, I never thought of Boston Symphony, Denver Symphony as cover bands, but
There
you go.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
cover bands, classical.
Yeah.
It's a fit. All right. Next story here. Apple iPad has taken a 50% share of the U.S. tablet market. Half of the tablets shipped in the U.S. in the first quarter were Apple iPads. Tablet shipments dropped 7% to 10.8 million units, but performed better than PC shipments, desktops, notebooks, and workstations in the U.S. Largely driven by Apple's strong iPad performance in the tablet market in the first quarter of this year, 2023. And, you know, they go through all the different numbers here as far as the shipments of PCs. We know PCs are dropping down. But the Mac has been doing relatively good, but it's a big decline, you know, about 28% year over year with the notebooks and all that fun stuff. But they show the data here, and Apple is doing quite well with the iPads, which is good to see. I mean, everybody was disappointed when they did the first quarter earnings call and said that iPads were down, but you know what? I think this was a good thing to see, right? Don't you think, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the numbers here, the majority of the rest of it are Amazon Fire tablets, which
Totally makes sense, actually.
which I would project at least 75% of those are going to children under 10 years old.
There's a reason it comes specifically in a kid's flavor.
Yeah. So it's basically Apple versus Samsung, which has under 20% of the market.
Yeah.
And I'm actually surprised at Microsoft's, but I don't know how they classify the Surface on this, whether it is classified as a PC, whether certain Surface models are classified as tablets versus PCs.
Right, because
we just need question.
We just need more.
You don't see Dell mentioned here, and they make tablets too. So does Lenovo. So does many of the PC manufacturers.
Well, there is
I
the
guess
others.
they're lumped into others.
Must be others.
Yeah. Maybe they should just give all the money back to the shareholders.
There you go.
I wondered when we'd get there.
So keep buying those iPads. Maybe we'll have some more excitement this year. Maybe some new models. We never know.
I just want to point out for one brief moment, because it was a long time ago when people first started talking about this. Jeff, actually, I think you were on the Tua Talkcast with me when we had this conversation about the tablet and what it is and what it means. And Apple, well, Ben, you were always there. That part went without saying. And that specifically, what I said was going to happen is that more people were going to buy tablets. They weren't always going to be iPads. An iPad was never going to be, you know, at the time, I don't even think we had a name. If Apple made a tablet, it's never going to be 100% of the market. But because it exists, it is going to make the market bigger. There's going to be more people who are going to look at tablets and realize the Kindle Fire is for them, or the Google at the time, the Google Pixel tablet that was amazing that they made and went, wow, that was too good of an idea. We better stop immediately, and have done so. Because I actually really, really liked that little Android tablet. It was awesome. So I think that this is being proven. Like, way more people are buying tablets now, and relatively Apple is half of them, which is an impressive number, even if they're not selling a million billion. If they only sold a squillion last quarter instead of a kabillion, whatever shall we do? But I think it's proving that there is a place for a tablet in most people's personal technology stack. It's proving that there is a viable market for that there are a lot of ways to use one. If you look at any other tool that people use in the world, like virtually everything comes from more than one place. Like, not everybody uses the same hammer or tape measure or microwave or whatever. And this is the same kind of thing. And so I'm just very glad that I called it a very long time ago. And it turns out I was actually right about a thing, because I am infamous for being spectacularly wrong about a great many things, and I never feel bad about it. But in this case, I was right, and I'm feeling very good about that.
Yep. Just another PSA here, real quick here. If you're running Windows, God help you if you are, make sure
you're on the wrong show.
That's the PSA. If you're running Windows, you should listen to a different podcast.
There are listeners out there who have their iPhones, but they insist on keeping their Windows machines to support them. But make sure you update iTunes, because it has a pretty serious security vulnerability. Apple released this on May 23rd, just last week as we record this, and it's 12.12.9, and does fix an issue that could allow malicious apps to gain elevated privileges to install malware on a Windows machine. Well, that would be really bad. So I don't think I have to say much else other than make sure you update iTunes.
Sleep tight.
It is available standalone, or you can actually go into the Windows Store and download it too if you so choose. But that's all I have to say on that. Just a PSA. And then next story: T-Mobile. T-Mobile has their home internet, which actually is a very good service, and I did try it out, and it was kind of unfortunate that we've got lots of great towers here, but for some reason the towers that are here just aren't giving the good enough speeds for me anyway to work in my home. But a lot of people are saying great things about how their speeds are, 100 megabit, which is more than sufficient for most people. And they introduced it back in 2021. And then their app only showed basic signal strengths, and there was a real bit lacking in accessing the gateways. But now they revealed some new features on their home internet, including 3 main gateway models, in addition to some customizable options. There was no way users could see what bands were connected to the network. And there was a new app called Hint Control that allowed the user to easily view every statistic available about their internet connection. I don't think many listeners would really care less about that, but including the signal strengths, because if you're on a 2.4 gigahertz or the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, you want to be able to see, where your strength is. So
that matters.
So they have an app available in the Google Play Store. It's also available on Windows, Linux, and Mac, and iOS through GitHub. Now, Ben, you were just exploring that pre-show, and you said that there was you had to prowl a little bit to find the download and install, right?
Yeah, you have to go under releases. I hope Christina Warren isn't watching this, because I don't think GitHub has the most user-friendly interface. Sorry,
I better tweet that out right now.
When you got
I'm sorry. I better send that Mastodon. Excuse me.
when you have to go browse for stuff, it's hard on GitHub.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to take a look at. Mm-hmm. I do have the iPad version of the app installed on my Mac, and it is extremely limited. Yeah. But so anything that'll give you kind of extra features is very nice. But I will preface this: this is not an official app from T-Mobile. Right. This is a third-party app. So make of that what
Developer
you will.
Community, GitHub.
What that tells me is that T-Mobile should be pretty embarrassed when the community has to get together to build an app for their service because they couldn't create one that was usable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's usable. It's just more for my mom and less for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't think your mom would probably go too well with that app. Any other thoughts before we move on? All right. Interesting story here. I don't know if any of you have signed up for your Apple savings account through the Apple Card.
Mm-hmm.
Users were complaining about delays withdrawing money. That's a problem. Apple Card customers who have opted to create the high yield savings account through the Goldman Sachs has been experiencing some issues withdrawing their money, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. Multiple customers who had transferred thousands of dollars of their Apple savings account have had to wait weeks for money transfers in some cases. And some customers have also had money disappear. Oh,
that's a problem.
It says Kevin Smith from Minnesota, for example, attempted to transfer $10,000 from his Apple account to his U.S. bank in mid-May, but Goldman Sachs would not complete the transfer. So they went through and had some discussions with the U.S. bank. The U.S. bank says, it's not our problem. It's Goldman Sachs got to figure this out. But I guess their response is because majority of customers haven't had any problems, and it was excellent beyond their expectations. But they're looking at fraud too, because if we know $10,000 is usually a threshold when people, it's like, where did that money come from? Did you pay taxes on that? So just be aware of that. But I'm loving it because the first month I got any sweet 4.15% interest on that, and then you don't see those kind of you don't see those kind of return on your investment for an interest, is simple interest. So Kelly, you gotta go get it. This is pretty awesome.
I guess apparently, 4%. That is for a plain old savings account. That's pretty impressive. But apparently, I need to not put a lot of money there because if I ever want it back, apparently it's up to Goldman Sachs.
I think it was a bug.
I hope so. Mostly because that kind of thing can escalate really quickly. So
they don't want the bad PR.
So
regulatory thing. Yeah. It's not like we haven't seen a bank in Silly Valley, that completely collapsed under its own weight. So I'm still, it's still interesting. Yeah. I just haven't had a chance to spend a little time and see how it feels.
Check her out. So we've talked about it when it came out, and it's pretty awesome. You guys, Ben, did you set one up too?
I do not have the card.
Oh, you don't. That's right. You don't have the card. Okay, so you can do it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a Apple checking account.
There you go. We'll see if that happens.
I think you're going to be.
I was going to say you're waiting a long time.
So do I.
So just
I think you'll be driving your Apple car to the Apple bank before they will give you an Apple checking.
To get an Apple cashier's check.
Yeah,
a lot of PSAs this week in the news, but just be aware of it. I don't think it's gonna. It's an isolated problem. So, this is sad to talk about. Apple has said the Thunderbolt display on the original iPad Air is now obsolete. Apple this week added the Thunderbolt display. I love that monitor. I had one. I'm sure many of us did. And then the iPad Air, I had one of those too. And now it's on the obsolete products list. Means that you no longer are eligible for repairs. So that that feisty Thunderbolt display with the power cord would always break and you couldn't take it out. And other hardware services won't be available anymore. But the Thunderbolt display was introduced almost 12 years ago, so that's a long time. It was a 27-inch screen, 1440p resolution for that time. It was pretty awesome. Even had the camera built in. For the time, it was great. The iPad Air, of course,
better camera that's on their current display.
Yeah, exactly.
The same camera.
Yeah, exactly. So and then the iPad Air,
maybe better.
That was the original iPad Air. That was discontinued in 2016. So that it's just say see you later. That's all I could say.
Yep, the iPad Air was a pro of its day.
It was. I liked that iPad when I had it.
Yeah, it was a great machine.
It was a good model.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Last story here. I just wanted. This is actually more of a. I really like this guy. This is the Apple, the basic Apple guy. He's got a great little blog, and he just in anticipation. So we'll be talking about WWDC 23 here in just a little bit. He has some schematic wallpapers of the iPhone 14, 14 Pro, 14, the 14 Plus, the 14 Pro, and the 14 Pro Max. I happily put it on my phone. Look, it looks pretty there. There's the bar and everything. It's great.
It's super cool.
So it's got the schematics of an actual internals of your iPhone. So support him. Give him a tip. I think that's fun that he did that and created some. You always like to have some different wallpapers. So.
He regularly does different wallpapers for stuff, kind of whatever the inspiration strikes or whatever, and just this one in particular really did stand out. Even amongst those, because his are always fun.
Well, so. He thinks it's he's got one for Mac. It's the OS X Rancho Cucamonga. I'm thinking that they might call that might be the next iteration. I would probably tend to doubt they would call it that, but who knows?
Yeah. I have subscribed to my friend John Welch, who said he wants them to call it Compton just so that the music at the event will be off the chain. And I'm like, this is the right answer. Yeah.
Yes, Dre will appear.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh my gosh. So
I mean, they know a guy. They literally already know a guy.
That's true. They do know a guy.
Yeah, they paid him a ton of money.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. So stories for this week and topics. Apple did seed the second betas of iOS 16.6 and iPad OS 16.6, and to the developers, it was on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, which is today as we record this, the public beta came out, because Ben made me aware that it just came out like literally hours after we started the show, that the public beta is out too. So if you're dabbling in beta, check it out. I gotta have a feeling this is going to get released pretty quickly here, so we gotta definitely get that going and get this done, because I'm sure the people are going to want to be on this and do that. So, any thoughts on how the beta is working? I think it's been fun. No event, nothing really exciting.
Beta 1 has been pretty good. Nothing much changed. I'll be curious to see beta 2 just as soon as we hop off the podcast here. I already have the red notification on system prefs.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, Jeff, with iPad? Nothing out of the usual. I haven't noticed anything with either iPad or iPhone. I have it on.
I have noticed nothing with it, which to me is actually a good sign.
So
install it, and the only true difference I've been able to find is that the version number, when I check that, it's updated.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I would suspect there's probably something at WWDC that they're going to talk about that's going to be in 16.6.
Yeah.
Which is why there's literally been no changes otherwise.
I mean, the question is, will it get released to the public before WWDC or after?
No.
It'll be after.
Yeah, I mean, beta 2 is going to be the one we have during the keynote. Okay. We're not going to see beta 3 until probably after the State of the Union.
But everybody's going to be itching to get iOS 17.
Or State of the Platform. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. watchOS 9.6 came out, and tvOS 16.6 came out. So as we always say, nothing exciting on any of those. And then iPadOS, of course, 16.6 is out as well.
I'm totally going to interrupt the flow of the show for a second, because I have to share this. Good. So I muted my mic because I had a big allergy sneeze, and I just got an alert on my Apple Watch for loud decibels.
I have heard you sneeze. That's great. Oh my gosh.
You know, Jeff, sneezing all the time can hurt your hearing.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. All right, let's
Game on.
let's go on and move on to the pre-WWDC discussion. You know, I wanted to review some of the rumors and give some of our predictions. I know we do this on the Mac show where we do our bingo, but I thought it'd be fun. You know, the day before we do that we throw out some of our predictions here beyond what everybody's reporting. You know, the obvious when it comes to that, which includes the AR VR headset and the rumors of the Macs, the new MacBook Air. The chances are saying that's very high. Of course, all the software we'll know iOS 17, of course, iPad OS 17, Mac OS 14, all that stuff, and the Mac Studio. So I'll start with you, Ben. What are you hoping to see that they already haven't talked about here at all the rumors that we see?
I might be the minority on this one, but I really hope the DMA is addressed during the keynote.
Okay. And for those who for those who don't know what that is, what is that?
That is the European Union's digital. I'm thinking of the RDMA, the Digital Millennium Act, but the Digital Markets app. Essentially, it means that if you have a device like an iPhone, Apple isn't legally allowed to be the only game in town in the EU.
Yeah.
And if we've seen, as we've seen with previous EU legislation, other countries and jurisdictions tend to copy those EU laws shortly after.
They're like the California of Europe.
which ironically, with the EU Privacy Act, I forget the name of it.
GDPR.
GDPR. California pretty much copied it word for word.
Mm-hmm.
And where California goes, the rest of the states inevitably go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's hope. What about you, Jeff? Is something you were hoping to see beyond what we're seeing here?
You know, there's one feature that I ask for every year in the new version of Mac OS, and every year it does not happen. And that one feature is to stop letting applications steal focus from the window that I have currently selected.
Yes.
Preach.
Yeah. So I know it doesn't sound like a big flashy thing, but trust me, when it happens, it will be fracking huge.
It's a big security thing because I have had chat apps intercept my feed while I was typing in my password.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yep. Or you have some rando dialogue that pops up in the corner of your screen and there's no input for it. So you're sitting there typing and you're 3 paragraphs lost before you realize that you're not even in your document anymore. Yeah. So that's my big thing there. What I would like to see that we haven't seen anything about yet. Totally going tinfoil hat on this one.
Yes.
All right. So
yeah, I was going to say, Jeff, you are in the presence of the proprietor of the House of Crackpot Theories.
I am, which is why I prefaced that just to make sure Kelly wouldn't miss any of this. Okay, so we have the Mac that lets us do everything for Apple, including be a developer machine. I would love to see Apple make a dock of some kind for pro users for iPad. So this would be an iPad Pro specific thing that takes your iPad and makes it like the old Duo Dock MacBook. And so you have your full-on developer machine at your desk because at that point it has all the Mac horsepower. And then when you pop it out, now it's your regular iPad Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah, I support this because I wrote a couple thousand words on it.
Yeah. All right. So Apple, we have all come together to bring this to you. Don't let us down.
Hashtag free the iPad.
Yeah.
There you go. By chaining it to a desk.
How about you, Kev?
I know that like lots of people always want like really big things, but I want really small things. I want what I was used to call the Snow Mountain release. We got Snow Leopard, we got Mountain Lion. I want that for every operating system. I want all of the actual resources this year to have been focused on the headset. And so everything else is fit and finish. Let's spend an afternoon of engineering time and fix dialogue boxes that pop up in the corner and how those notifications are so irritating unless you bust out the terminal and go type some magical defaults right commands to make things behave the way they should on a Mac. Having somebody with the sensibility from the notification center on iOS actually be part of the team that helps make this happen on a Mac. I would like if they would completely give system settings a do-over and have it stop being twice reheated garbage and have it be something that is logical and reasonable and useful, because people spend way more time there than I think anybody thought, and nobody thought they spent as much time there as they did until it turned into a disaster area and everybody has to live with the fallout. I'm not saying it should not have been changed. I'm not saying it should not have been updated. I'm not saying it could not be improved. This was not an improvement. You did not give me something better to replace the adequate thing that I already have. You took the adequate thing I have, you put it in a blender, and you gave it back to me like you're on the Blend Tech YouTube channel and not like you are an actual company with world-class developers who work there. So this is my beef. I want things to be a little bit better. I want watchOS notifications to fit on the screen. The screen keeps getting bigger, but the notifications still don't fit. The dismiss button or the clear button is always, you always have to scroll. Why do I have to scroll, Apple? You keep making the screen bigger. Give me a button that fits on the screen. You know precisely how big that screen is. You know precisely to the pixel how big your notification is. Why don't they match? Why am I the only person who seems to know this and is bothered enough by it to say it out loud? I feel like I'm out here shouting in the wilderness that I'm the only person who seems to realize you have to scroll every time you dismiss something, and it drives me up a wall. So I want there to be little small things. I want the people who said, the registration card when you lick the flap and send it back for an Apple computer, that should taste like apples. I want those people to be the ones making the decisions again. People who actually used something and went, this is the thing that is useful, but we can make it fun. And I want them to be the ones that are making the decisions, because that hasn't happened in a while. And you can make those decisions in very small ways for the amount of engineering it would take, the amount of code it would take to have such a massive, massive impact on everybody's lives. If you got a handful of developers together over a couple of days with a couple of pizzas and a couple of Sixers, I promise you they could hash out something better than the nonsense that we have in the settings app now, than the dialogue that doesn't fit on the screen. Like, those little small things make it really irritating to interact with my technology. And I interact with my technology a lot. And I really want that to be better, because it used to be better. And I'm not saying that because it was old, because it was slow, whatever. It used to be a sensible way to look at things and interact with things. And it's not now. It doesn't look like anything else. It doesn't operate like anything else. All these things are different. Everything is It's like everything has gotten demonstrably worse. It's not like it's different and it's better and I'm just mad that it changed. I'm not mad it changed. I'm mad that it's not even as functional as it was before the update. I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
Okay. So it's like we said, I think the AR VR glasses is going to be probably stealing the show. MacBook Air 15-inch screen. I think that's going to be pretty exciting to see that. Been rumors also on the Mac Studio potentially getting an M2 Pro and M2 Max update. Who knows? The Mac Pro might actually come out. We don't know. That's possible. They obviously aren't going to be talking. Doesn't seem like they won't be talking too much about iPhone or iPad as far as that comes out, because they always save that to the fall. So. But iOS 17 is going to be the next iteration of iOS as well as iPad OS. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And what else? We're going to be covering it live. We're going to be covering it live. Actually, Jeff and I will be on for Mac Eyes Only coming up next Monday to do a reaction time episode like we always do, which is great. So we'll have fun doing that, as well as we'll definitely be covering a lot of this. We're going to be covering a lot of this as well when it comes to all the changes and stuff that'll be going on. So, we're definitely going to be doing something to bring back all the great stuff that's going to be happening at WWDC this year. So, Kelly, I know you just made a left a note. If you need to drop, we surely understand. So, or did you want to?
Well, we'll see. I don't know when. I'm not sure when I actually.
Okay, sorry, I messed with that, but good. We're going to keep you on here.
It could be at any moment.
Okay, well, go ahead, and we'll let you go when you got to go, and appreciate you being here. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking a lot about it next week, and we've got a special show actually coming next Friday with the Patrice and. A special guest I'm not going to announce. That's going to be coming as well. So, we'll be recording on Friday again, so we can make the time for Patrice to come back on the show here. So, Jeff, you put this rant on this earlier this week on social media, and I thought it would be a great topic to talk about. I hope you don't mind, but the Apple TV app, it's unified. Yeah, it is unified to a point. They unify all the streaming services. Right. They do all these other things in one place. And why can't they do it with the Apple Books app? I agree with you. The Books app. There's so many other services out there like Libby and the Nook and the Kindle and so many others that aren't even mentioned here. So, what was your thoughts here? Or do you think Apple would even consider doing something like this for the Books app?
I would like to think they would consider it. It's all about giving us the best user experience possible. And right now, the best user experience for ebooks is not where did I download or where did I buy that from? Which app do I need to go look in? And what triggered this was I had picked up an ebook through Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, the Nook.
Mm-hmm.
But what they don't tell you when you buy an ebook from Barnes and Noble is that you're buying specifically for Nook. They just say you're getting an ebook. And in my mind, I was thinking, when do I get the link for it? It's not in my downloads folder. And then eventually I was like, oh, wait a second. This is Barnes and Noble. They do the Nook thing. Yep. They probably didn't tell me. But at this point now I'm looking to figure out where do I even have the Nook app installed? And then I'm thinking, wait a second. So I have the Nook app, I have the Kindle app, I have Libby, I have Amazon, I have Apple Books, so I guess Amazon Kindle. So I have these, probably a couple others. Oh, Comixology. And I realized I'm looking across all these different apps and I'm finding books that I didn't realize that's where I had. this one book, and then I look somewhere else and I'm like, huh, I don't even remember buying this, but I did because it's showing up in the library.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a horrible experience. Why can't we have a unified experience for all of the ebook type content that we're getting, just like we can do for the Apple TV app? And yes, I know there are glaring exceptions there and a lot, but that's based on the content providers not playing nice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So still, why can't we have this so I can just have one place to go and look for all of my ebooks?
I agree.
Jeff, do you know where we have exactly what you said there? Movies with Movies Anywhere. There needs to be a Books Anywhere. There needs to be an Apps Anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Setup is kind of like that with apps, but it's still different service.
But I mean, it's just you buy it through one service, you get it on all the services.
I agree. That would totally make sense. My guess is that there's probably something to do with licensing that publishers don't want to go along with. I mean, publishers right now are doing the most insane things. Like if you're a library, publishers are going out of their way to screw you as a library.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they want to work with Apple to make it easier for us to read all the content we're buying anyhow?
Well, Apple was also the only one that ended up in court, like in trouble for price fixing or whatever. So I kind of to me, it checks out that Apple has sort of abandoned books, so to speak. Like the app hasn't had a significant update in some time. People who try to publish things on the Apple bookstore, sometimes that's really frustrating. Like I've talked to a couple of people who've had, that kind of issue. And I wish that it were a better experience. And once again, I feel like there isn't anyone at Apple that spends a lot of time reading in that app, or they would, it might get some changes. It is definitely frustrating to try to use, and especially with all the different apps out there. There was like everything that you did have in Comixology that's like now in Kindle, but it's not, because Comixology was the same, but now it isn't. And whatever happened to your Dark Horse comics? And if you get anything that's not a Kindle formatted file, like what do you do with it? And you can't really put anything anything over 50 megabytes that's a PDF file. Like it's really hard to get it on your Kindle device in the first place. And if you're reading anything with pictures, it's really easy to get up over 50 megabytes very, very quickly. And there are a lot of limitations there, and people who read a lot are crashing headlong into these hurdles all the time. And I don't know what's to be done about it, but I feel like somebody needs to step up and do it. And I can understand why Apple doesn't want to after all the legal drama, but I wish someone would. I wish Amazon would just be like, yeah, you own this, but over here, because you told us it was okay to look there to see if you have books, and like the TV app does. It's very frustrating that that's how it works. Like if I want to check out an audiobook from the library, I can't listen to it in any place else that I listen to audio. It's a special thing that I can only do in the Libby app. But Overdrive has movies, and that's a different place where you can also sometimes get books and and it's frustrating, it's confusing, and that kind of stuff. Like I want to buy the things, I want to pay for things, I want to support the people that I like, and it is just getting so hard to do so. This is, there used to be the graphic that went around about you buy a Blu-ray movie and you put it in the DVD player and you get an ad for the movie that you bought. And then you get another ad about how Blu-ray is amazing. And then you get an ad for other movies by the same place, and you cannot skip any of them. And if you go download a movie from the internet for free, you push play and you watch your movie.
Yeah.
So you tell me which one has more appeal. And it's getting really tempting to not buy books anymore when this is the landscape that we all have to deal with.
Yeah.
I miss the days of unified apps, meaning like you remember back in the day, iChat, you could just sign into all your different chat accounts. We had ADM. Anyhow, I miss the days when we can have a single app where all of the content that across all the different services was unified into a single place for us.
Yeah, I mean the irony of the Apple iBooks antitrust case. It was one of the few times where the Sherman Act was used to uphold a monopoly and decrease competition.
Yeah.
And afterwards, it has had a profound negative impact on books as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I agree with all of what you've said. There's just so many different book apps out there. I mean, especially the library apps like Libby and others that you get the free books. Why can't you incorporate that to make it easier for all of us? You just to go, it's your public library. You pay your taxes, pay for that. Why can't you include that as part of Apple's ecosystem, just like they do with TV and the Apple TV app? I mean, it's that's something that has to be done. You just really got to get that going and really do what you got to do to get this going, because it's really surprising.
Speaking of going,
thanks for being here, Kelly. I'll let everybody know where they can find you.
Pleasure as always. You can find me on Mastodon, where I'm Verso at mastodon.social. And occasionally you can find me here. You can also occasionally find me over on Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live. And it's been a blast. Right. And I'm always excited when you invite me back.
Appreciate you being here, Kelly. Let's hope Apple thinks about this. You don't see too much discussion about this. I thought this was something that would be good that we cover and see where things go.
Now that we've talked through this, I'm wondering if I'm in the minority with having books across multiple ebook services. And like most people, they have a Kindle, they have a Nook, and one or the other, and then that's it. And they just get all of their ebooks through the one device.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's so broken that I don't buy books anymore. I rent them through my library on Libby.
Yeah. Yeah, might as well. I mean, you might have to wait a little longer, but it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actively buying a ton of books before the antitrust judgments. But after that, just everything got so broken that, I mean, Kindle does not have a good experience. And that's the default.
Yep. Yep, sure is. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. This is definitely something we talk about if this ever comes up. And like I said, I haven't seen too much of this discussion. I thought it'd be just good, something that we talked about here. So why not? It's definitely something that we got to look for. So, so we're getting close to the end of the show here, and I thought we had some great conversations. We're going to have a lot to talk about next week. I hope everybody will look forward to that. With our post WWDC coverage, and definitely tune in next week to listen to all that fun stuff. So, but before I go, I want to make sure we tell everybody about MacStock Conference and Expo. That's happening July 22nd, 23rd. It's coming. It's getting closer, like 6 weeks away. It's crazy here as we record this. So go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com, and you can see myself and Jeff Gamet. Brittany Smith is going to be there for the first time. check her out on Mac Voices. Chuck just did another Road to Mac Stock episode and just interviewed her, so she'll tell you all about what was going on and what she's talking about. Allison Sheridan and so many others are going to be there, so come join us with all the fun here. We got links in the show notes for how to get tickets, as well as the speakers link to tell you the entire cast of characters that'll be speaking at the conference. You also got a bonus. Barry Falk's going to be doing the Midwest Mac barbecue at his home. He did that the first year in 2015. He's bringing it back. So we're going to get all our friends, and everybody's welcome. All I got to do is say, Barry. And that link is also on the website there. You can send him off. He just sent off a newsletter just to make sure he knows who's coming. So we'll have a blast there. Who knows? We might even do a podcast from there. You don't know. It's going to be fun. So
it could totally happen.
Yeah, so
there will be a target-rich environment.
Yes, there will.
With podcasters.
Yes, there will. So I remember vividly when I was there for the first year and just kind of watched in awe before I got where I am today here. So, but come check it out, MacStockConference and Expo.com, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you. With that, let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and you'll be notified when we live stream our show, which is on Thursday nights, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. We had Cletus in the chat room. I appreciate you being in the chat this week, Cletus. And that's we always have a ball when everybody comes in and chats with us while we're doing the show live. Also, you can go to our In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into the magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. And I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 at Mastodon.com, .cloud. And you also can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Jeff Gamet, as always, thanks for being here. Where can people find you?
It's always great to be here. I have so much fun just hanging out with all of you. All right, so social media, Jay Gamet on everything. Look for me on Mastodon and Instagram. That's where I'm putting stuff. Then shows. Tuesdays, Chuck Joyner lets me on Mac Voices Live with both of you. Then Thursdays, I am your interim host on The Big Show on the British Tech Network. Then here again with both of you, Thursday evenings, In Touch with iOS. Then back to the British Tech Network on Friday mornings for the Mac Show. And then typically sometime on Friday afternoon, Brian Chaffin and I record The Context Machine.
Thanks.
Dave and I aren't on that one.
True.
I did get a shout out though. Thank you, Brian Chaffin, for your shout out last week on the show on the Context Machine. I appreciate that.
Totally deserved. And and to me, Context Machine is a great show because we can have topics where I just push Brian's buttons all the time.
Last week was a good one. Good listen. Thank you, Jeff. And Ben Roethig, as always, thanks for being here. Where can people find you?
Find me at Ben Roethig on social media. I should be able to be found on most of the Mastodon instances, and they'll link back to my techhangout.social account. You can find me at my website, roethig.tech, and everything Jeff just said except for the Context Machine.
That's right. Well, thanks again for being here. And thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. We enjoyed doing it. But until then, we'll talk again soon.